welcome to your state capitol. We appreciate you being here. We're going to entertain the press first and foremost. My name is Senator Donzella James, and I'm joined by our state representative, Judy Manning. And we are both very pleased and honored that all of you would come here today, but more than anything else, that you have given your time and talents to help our children, the children of Georgia. So we thank you very much. We have the chairman of this Operation Hope, this wonderful organization that's not just here in Georgia, but it's in other places throughout the nation. And his name is Chairman John Hope Bryant. And he autographed a book for me. And I said, oh my, I have to read the book, and believe me, it has really been inspiring. So without further ado, let Representative Judy Manning say a few words, and then we're going to call up the leader of this organization. And after that, we will entertain any questions from the press and then begin the program. Thank you.
Thank you, Donzella. And thank you for being here. You might wonder why I'm here, and that is because I have a very good friend who is a part of your group, and she volunteered me. So I know exactly what volunteerism is, and that's Nell Patterson. She and I have been good friends for a number of years, and I also chair in the House the Committee on Children and Youth. So I am very excited to have all of you here, because you know what this is all about. It's about our kids, it's about our future, it's about our state and our nation. So thank you for coming and giving your time and knowing what it is to volunteer, because you can always tell about a person's character if they volunteer. So I have to run upstairs to appropriations, and I hope none of you are asking for any money, because there's not any. In fact, in this building, the ceiling is actually falling in my office, and we don't have any money to repair it. So we'll rush along here so that we can get on with the program. Donzella.
Okay. Thank you very much, Representative Manning. You know, I saw a program just the other day on Link TV, and it showed kindergartners in China who go to boarding school. So when they turn 5 years old, they leave home 5 days a week, and they stay together and learn. These 5-year-olds were not even 6 years old, and they had already learned critical thinking, not just reading and writing. These young minds were being molded already, and they could hold a decent conversation with anybody in this room. They were hungry for knowledge, like our children are. But we have to motivate them and encourage them. During the Christmas, I was in Nigeria for more than 2 weeks. And I visited many, many schools. And the schools are not compulsory schools there. They volunteered to go. But they were standing out there an hour early, and they had walked to school. They wanted to be there. Their minds were like sponges. They just wanted to learn as much as possible. I want to see that same energy in the United States. And Operation Hope, amen, yes. Operation Hope is providing the kind of motivation, encouragement, tutoring, everything that our children need to get motivated. And there's a great man behind this organization. And I would like to call him up at this time to talk to the press, to tell us what Operation Hope is all about, and then we'll answer any questions and then get into the program. So without further ado, it's my honor to bring up Chairman John Hope Bryant.
Appreciate you. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. The Bible suggests be hot or be cold. But if you're lukewarm, I'll spat you out. Translation, even God is not like mediocrity. So if you're going to do something, do it with passion. You're going to fight traffic like I did this morning, fight traffic with passion. You're going to get lost like I did this morning, get lost with passion. And I'm not smart enough to actually ask for directions. I lived in California all my life, and I had enough wisdom to move to Atlanta, but not enough wisdom to buy a map. So my apologies for delaying you a few minutes. I wanted to get here on my own steam, just like you got into the classrooms on your own steam. I am deeply honored to be here. I want to thank Representative Manning and the Senator. I know who you are. The Senator is one of my sheroes because she did this without being asked. Senator James did this on her own initiative. I want to thank my staff, Tara Dennis, who's here, Janae Roscoe, Jay Bailey, Nell Patterson, all the Hope J, all the heroes and sheroes that make Operation Hope go, but most of all our volunteers. We have 13,000 volunteers, Hope Corps volunteers around the world. Senator James rightly mentioned that this is not just here in Atlanta. We are in 70 urban communities in America. We're in Haiti. We're in South Africa. In South Africa, they have a phrase, Senator James, Ubuntu. I am me because you are you. We're all in this together. I'm glad to see every race represented within Operation Hope, because this is not about black folks or Latino folks or white folks. This is not about, frankly, whether you're white, black, red, brown, or yellow. It's about, do you have some more green? Can I get an amen? Amen. On a serious note, before the global economic crisis, if you're living in New York City and made less than $70,000 a year, you are struggling to make ends meet. If you lived in Washington, D.C. and made $50,000 a year or less, and you're working in state government, the federal government there, or the state government, the district government, you are struggling to make ends meet. If you worked in the White House, unless you were lucky enough to be a trust fund baby, you were living literally from paycheck to paycheck in the White House. If you're living in Atlanta, Georgia, my guess is you're making less than $35,000 a year, you are struggling to make ends meet. So whether you're white, black, red, brown, or yellow, you just want to see some more green. So this is not a racial issue. The new movement is a class issue. So it's not so much civil rights as it is what I call silver rights. Civil rights empowerment. But this global economic crisis has done something. It has, well, you cannot have a rainbow without a storm first. We're having our storm. Some people are having their storms in their own office, with the ceiling literally falling down. Our society seems to be crumbling around us, but our spirit is strong. And you cannot have a rainbow without a storm first. People do not change in good times. They change in bad times. And I believe this is not a recession, it's a reset. It's not an economic crisis, it's a crisis of virtues and values. So if in the 20th century the issue is democracy, what these ladies fought for, what their mothers and fathers fought for, if what we celebrated this week with Dr. King's birthday means anything, then democracy meant the right to vote. But we now live in a global economic system. This global economic crisis should have meant that to you, if nothing else. And what does that say? If you don't understand the language of money, financial literacy, and if you don't have a bank account, in the 21st century, you are an economic slave. Andrew Young, our global spokesman, Ambassador Andrew Young, my hero, he told me that to live in a system of free enterprise and not to understand the rules of free enterprise is the very definition of slavery. And so we need a new movement for a new time. That doesn't mean you leave civil rights behind. That's ridiculous. It's a foundation we stand on. It is the roots of our democracy. But Dr. King was about war, racism, and poverty. But he never finished the work of poverty. That was the Poor People's Campaign when he was assassinated in '68. So Operation Hope, in our modest and small way, with 13,000 volunteers globally and 1,400 volunteers in Georgia, with 100 full-time employees, 5,000 partners from government, community, and the private sector, and I'm honored to call Senator James a partner, and I would hope in the future to call Representative Manning a partner. And I'm honored to serve President Obama in the President's Council on Financial Capability. And I was honored to serve President Bush for the President's Council on Financial Literacy. And I was honored to serve President Clinton as well, because this is not a Republican or a Democratic issue. It's an American issue. And so we have 5,000 partners. 3,000 of them are schools. I'll repeat, 3,000 of our partners are schools. You can track 80% of all dropouts in America to about 2,000 schools. Now, that may not hit you very strong, but let me give you some very quick statistics. 30% of all 30% of all Americans, now let's remember what the senator and the representative just mentioned about China and what's going on in third world countries with education. Let's put that in the back of your mind. These kids are waking up at 7 in the morning. They're at school at 7 in the morning. They come home at 7 at night. They study, they eat, they study until 9 o'clock at night, go to bed, get up, and do the same thing. They are passionate about education. We have a 30% dropout rate in America for all kids. I didn't say black kids. I didn't say white kids. I didn't say brown kids. I didn't say Latino kids. I didn't say Indian kids. All children in America, 30% of all kids in the richest country and arguably the most developed country in the world are dropping out of high school. It's a sin. But that's the good news. 40 to 50% of urban kids are dropping out of high school. And I'm glad you're sitting down, because I didn't want you to fall down when I tell you that 70% of all black men are dropping out of high school. Not 70% of black men in the South Side, not 70% of black men in Detroit, not 70% of black men outside of Cascade. No. 70% of every black man you see walking down the street under the age of 18 in America is dropping out of high school. It's a sin. It's a national emergency. Who's your daughter going to hire? Who's your daughter going to marry? Who's your employer going to hire? Who are you going to hire? Because America is increasingly a majority of minorities. So we're all in this together. So Operation Hope is this partnership, as I've already mentioned, 1,400 here in Georgia strong, volunteers, 13,000, I keep wanting to say 14,000, I guess I'm aspirational. 13,000 Hope Corps volunteers globally. 5,000 partners. We've invested $900 million over 18 and a half years in America's underserved communities to give them a hand up and not a handout. Our budget's about $20 million, and we have come here to Georgia, even though our global headquarters is in Los Angeles. I am a resident of Georgia. I don't just have an apartment here. I don't just have a house here. I don't just come through Atlanta, the busiest airport in the world. No, I live in Atlanta. My hero, my mentor, Andrew Young, lives in Atlanta. I call Atlanta home. I love Atlanta. People are nice here for no economic reason. But if we think global, we have to act local. If you're going to make big bets, you got to keep small promises. You cannot talk about eradicating poverty and changing the world and starting a civil rights movement unless you affect somebody you can touch, see, and feel. So that's why I like standing here with these two great ladies, because we're going to connect public policy with private partnerships with individual public benefit. We're going to show at our Ebenezer Hope Center, which opens later this year. We're opening a Hope Center at Ebenezer Church. I'm going to repeat that. An Operation Hope Financial Literacy Empowerment Center on the hollow ground of the King Center at Ebenezer Church. The first time an outside nonprofit has been invited into the King Center, I think, since they were founded.